Had a little listen to his podcast, huh?
Dude, it's educational. And besides, I've been wanting to listen to this one.
Welcome to Idling in the Impala, a podcast by and for lovers of supernatural and the fan fiction it inspires. I'm Sandra.
I'm Carlee, and since we had so much to talk about last time and we just did not have enough time, they've graciously agreed to come back. So we have Carole, Tammy, and Sandy back with us again, and we covered Sam and Dean Wincest last time, and this time we thought maybe we'd take a look into J2. So...
Wouldn't we all like to look into J2?
That is a sandwich I would like to be involved in, for sure.
Absolutely.
Sure. So, yeah, we had so much to talk about last time. The Google Doc was as long as your arm. Sandra had so many notes, and we just didn't get around to it. So we begged and pleaded, and they very graciously agreed. So, Sandra, you probably have questions.
I have a question right off the bat. So, Carole, and this goes directly to you because I saw your tweet yesterday, and
before your question. Before your question.
Okay.
You want to go?
Am I going?
I don't know.
I'm confused.
I just want to fess up. I also saw the tweet, Carole, and I have the last thing you posted open, and I have the last thing you posted open as well, Tammy, and they're in my tabs, and I just haven't got around to them. So I think my hits counted, but I'm gonna read them. Just haven't got around to it. I have so many tabs, guys. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the question being is like, Carole, do you feel that J2 has kind of gone on the downswing, or like, what was your overall consensus after you sent out that question about, you had not as many kudos as expected out of the last 4 fics that you've posted being J2? Like, what do you think's happening? What did you hear from your audience of people when you tweeted?
I heard mixed things. Of course, I always feel bad afterwards because a lot of people will be like, "No, I'm about to, and you're on my list and stuff," and then I feel like I was being a whiny pants. But
no.
But first of all, sometimes things just go in phases, and you get a phase where everybody reads everything, and then you get a phase where they don't.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like there's been a little drop off in J2, in large part because the fandom, I think, is very divisive right now. It used to just be divisive along ship lines. Sadly, at this moment, it's a little divisive along the J2 lines for a lot of reasons and stuff that I'm not going to get into now. But I think that means a little bit of the readership of J2 is down a little bit because people are not seeking it out as their happy place quite as much.
Me and Sandra have been talking about this as well. And as you say, it used to be ships, and now it seems to be Team Jared and Team Jensen, and there's just such the fandom's never been great, but it seems to be really tense right now.
It's very tense right now, and I'm sure just the general climate of life doesn't help because everything's a little fraught and everything's a little anxious. Personally, for me right now, I am still Team J2. They're still my happy place, and I have no problems reading them and obviously writing them. And hopefully, maybe fanfic will even help smooth the waters a little bit. I don't know, but and as writers, I know we all have these moments of insecurity as well, where you haven't hit one out of the park in a while, and then so you start thinking, "Uh-oh."
Yeah. Am I losing my touch? What's kind of going on there?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's interesting too, because I mean, just in general, they have such a great chemistry. So like, it just seems like not a stretch that, J2 would just kind of still be a thing. But I do like that you mentioned it being your happy place. And I think if it stays someone's happy place, then they'll search it out. That's a big point and a plus, for fanfic. And yeah, from just a couple of the comments I was seeing, it's like, yeah, I love your stuff. I just, getting around to reading it and life and all that other stuff kind of thing. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you're like me and you've got like 20 tabs open. Sometimes things get lost. Like, it doesn't even happen on purpose. You open the tab and you're like, yeah, no, that. and then you're like 8 tabs down going, oh fuck, I forgot about that. Oh god, that's so many tabs away now. Yeah.
And I think sometimes it's also the range between hits and kudos and comments, especially on AO3, is, well, it can be better to make it nice. I do understand that everyone is feeling good leaving comments, because I hear the different theories like, oh, I didn't know what to write. Oh, I didn't want to just say, I love it, or whatever. On LiveJournal, I mean, Carole, you talked about it. That was way much more. On AO3, it's more like you see on the hits that people reach out and read your story, but you don't see it on the comments. Unfortunately, even not on the kudos. That's something I really don't understand, because honestly, we all do it because we love it, and we all do it because for free. But just hitting a simple kudo really didn't cost much, and it give us so much more to show us, okay, it's good what we are doing here. It's what people want, and I think that it really is a second problem, that the ratio between hits and kudos really goes low, especially right now. Maybe it's the fandom, maybe it's the generation. I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah. I always, if I get to the end of the first page, if I get to the kudos button, you're getting a kudos. If you keep me engaged right to there, that's it. And you only have to keep me engaged for that first page. You could have 100 chapter fic. If I make it to the end of the first page, I'll click the thing and you have the kudos. I don't get it. It's like on Facebook. Just click like. You don't necessarily even have to say anything. No,
it didn't cost you to don't have a contract for a new washing machine or whatever. It's just giving some respect. Because we put so much love and passion into words, and well, it's not easy. It's really I can only ask for everyone. Just, it's okay if you don't feel good with leaving comments, even if I can assure you the I love it means so much more for us others than you can imagine. But just hit a freaking kudo. That would be amazing.
Yes, please. You don't have to leave me a dissertation on what you think about my interpretation.
No.
Just give me a couple of fire emojis. I like those. I leave those a lot.
I think the second is the fandom was used to get new input, especially from J2 for over 15, 16 years. Like they're spending 8-9 months together shooting Supernatural. So there was always some behind the scene photo. There was always some interview, whatever. So I think we are missing this. So we only have the conventions right now. And then, unfortunately, when some of the guys have to cancel, and I feel like this year was extremely the cancellation due to whatever reasons. So when you didn't have that, you're missing something. I'm looking forward to today having 2 panels finally again. And normally after this, the search for J2 fics, or the search for getting into this comfort zone. I totally agree with you, Carole. It's my comfort zone at all. It gets higher when you get some input, when you get some photo, when you get an interview, when you get a tweet from one of the guys to the other. So we were really pampered right now. We really we're good 16 years. And now it's like a little bit of a dry desert.
Yeah. Even the photos as well. You're getting photos of, like, we had loads of Soldier Boy and like Bow Island now and Walker, and I'm like, give me the flannel, guys. This is not inspiring me. I need flannel. What the fuck?
Yeah. And I mean, the good thing is we know that they are spending time together, but we only did it because someone else took maybe a picture or reported. We didn't know because they posted, and that was different a few years ago. That kind of stopped, which I can understand on one side, because they want to keep their profiles more professional line and more like, okay, I want to focus on Jerry's focus on Walker's, Jensen's focusing on Big Sky or whatever. So I do understand that their social media is trying to be more by themselves, but that's the problem. We kind of know where they are together, but we don't see them together. And sometimes you need this clicks. Sometimes you need this one picture that makes you like, oh my God, I want to read about it, or oh my God, I want to write about it.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point, that we don't get fed the way we used to. And then at least when there's a con, like we're like, oh, they're going to Phoenix Con, and they were going last night. And so we're like, yay, but we don't see anything. We don't see them at 7-Eleven in the middle of the night getting Doritos or something like that. And that kind of helped sustain things. But I mean, it's totally understandable at this point. They're really trying to carve out these individual careers. They're at a stage of their lives where this is kind of a make or break. They had the bubble of Supernatural for a really long time, put them in great positions, made them a lot of money and fans, but this is it. They're young enough to reach new levels of success, but they need to do it independently, or they will never be thought of as anything but that they can only work together. And this is their chance to do that. Jared is stretching out into these new roles of executive producer, and Jensen's stretching out into just new roles. I mean, The Boys could not have been more different from anything he's ever done.
No.
And Rust is, he's making a play for the big screen, as unfortunate as some of those circumstances were. Big Sky is back on episodic TV, but in a different, as an independent agent, not as part of J2 or the Winchester. So their need to establish themselves separately is our loss in terms of, missing all that great content we used to get from around them and from them themselves. Like when they used to do, Facebook videos when they were only candlelit, and God only knows either how inebriated or high they were.
I miss those. I do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I also feel though too, like and this could just be the way I'm reading them, that there's this internal struggle of how much do they, because you can tell at least I could tell the way Jensen keeps talking about it. Like he wants to get back into playing Dean. And I've never heard someone talk about it as much. And I don't necessarily hear, I feel like Jensen's trying to be the cheerleader with this to get this on track, to get this to happen. And there's that struggle of, we want to branch out, but we want to go back to something that's so comfortable and that the fans love as well. And the fact that God, I don't know any other show that could still boast that 2 years after it's been done, they're going to have like 12 cons next year. And I know they're not going to be Supernatural cons, but it's still going to be Jensen and Jared, right? And their other projects. And there's so much there's still like material. There could be crickets. There could be nothing. They could be like, nope, Supernatural's done. That's it. Moving it on. And, then we've got this, but I can see that there's that. They really want to do it. I really want to see, and I don't know what your thoughts are in general across the board, but I do want to see them back together as Sam and Dean. That's something I want really badly. Like I wish they would do it in a month, but I know that they're going to, try to wait it out and see what happens, see what falls out with like shows and things like that. But still, it's like, I'd be all on board for that. Please give me a Netflix, give me an Amazon, give me something where they can cuss HBO. And there's blood and there's some actual and sex. Come on, I want to see all of that.
HBO.
Anything, any of them would work.
I'm so looking forward to hear Dean Winchester swear, saying for the first time.
Actually swear.
I saw a tweet when The Boys, after Jensen had actually fully come into The Boys, that was just The Boys is Eric Kripke apologizing for Jensen for making him say son of a bitch for 15 years. They have to do it because Jared has to go back and play Sam before he wears those boots out at every fucking con. And he can't go back and play Sam if he doesn't have his Sam boots. So they're gonna have to do it soon because I feel like he goes through a lot of shoes. I don't know why, I just feel like he does. Not as much as Jensen because he wears them more than once, but I definitely feel like he goes through a lot of shoes. So yeah, they're gonna have to get him back. Netflix, please. Amazon, please. Pick it up.
Whatever.
Anything. literally anything.
Do you
I'm
think
doing a crowdfunding? I don't care.
Yeah.
Oh God, if they put that out to the Supernatural fandom, crowdfund Supernatural 2.
That would happen in like a minute. Are you kidding me? The way that they're
yeah.
like bankrolled? Oh my God. The fans would be like, yes, they'd get what they needed.
I think that might be why those radio company tickets are so expensive. Jensen's hand just solely refunding a Supernatural reboot with his music. Are any of y'all, are you going to the radio company thing? Are you going to watch it on stage it? Did anybody pay the money for the
not
tickets? Me. No.
My
Sandra told me how much they were, and I nearly died.
I'm a heretic. I'm actually not a huge fan of radio company.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I love to hear Jensen sing.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I don't know. It's not catching me.
It's not catching you. It's not
kind of
your cup of
tunes.
tea.
A couple of songs. I mean, I really liked a couple of songs, but just like the whole albums, I'm like, eh. But I know I'm in the vastly small minority. But I love his voice. I absolutely love his voice.
Yeah.
Me and Sandra have talked about this a lot. Radio company is great driving music. It's great cleaning around the house music. It has no soul. And this is yet another episode that might reach Jensen. And then, oh God, it all goes wrong.
Yeah, you're gonna have to go apologize.
I'm gonna have to bankrupt myself. So I have this working theory that whenever I say something horrible, like radio company has no soul, or Jared is not great at acting as Walker. He's great at acting, but there's just something wrong with his acting in Walker, in my opinion. And I just have this horrible like premonition that one of them's just going to be like driving through traffic, or they're stuck in traffic, and they're just like, hey, what's going on Spotify? Find our podcast, manage to click on an episode where it's me ranting my head off.
That one, Carlee.
It'll be that one. And then they're going to be so upset about it, they're going to like post like a really vague tweet, but I'm going to know. And then I'm going to have to bankrupt myself to go to a con to spend an incredible amount of money to get like a meet and greet on something. I'll be like, hi, I'm the co-host of the podcast. I'm really sorry. So there we go. That's another one out into the universe. I'm sorry, Jensen. You have a great voice. I just think your band has no soul. My bad.
I think for the first album, it feels more like film music. Like all songs could be played as a background for TV show or whatever, but I can't see them playing live. So I'm really, really curious what they're going to do on the concert. And for the second, they feel like a little bit rushed. Like, okay, we have to bring an album. What you say about the soul, I could agree in a way. There are 1-2 songs I really, really like. City Born Widow, for example. I really love that song.
But Jensen could come on stage with Misha, drop to one knee with a wedding ring, and go, City Grown Willow is about Misha Collins, and I'd be like, it's Daniel's song. Fight me. Songs for Daniel. 100%. I love it. I love it. I love that one. I like the second album more than the first album. I think it's got whatever soul it doesn't have, it's got a little bit more in album 2, but I don't think it's going to translate very well live. So I will be.
And on a very, very personal note, I've been to a few concerts next year. I'm really looking forward for whether it's Elton John or Pink or Def Leppard. I paid for those guys who make rock music 30 years, not more than 100 euros per ticket.
Yes.
On a very, very personal opinion, I think for a new band who has like 16 songs, charging up to $700 for a ticket, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
You are my person. You guys are my people. She told me how much it cost, and I was like, you fucking what? And I was like, because of the time difference.
Get roasted now too, so we can
no, we're both gonna have to go. It's all right. We'll go together. We'll go together. We'll go in on the hotel. It's fine. I was like in bed when Sandra was telling me about this, and I have like a box of tickets from all the gigs and stuff I've been to. And I like sat up in bed, turned the light on, and started rifling through stuff. And my husband was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And I was like, "Sandra has just told me how much radio company are charging for a band no one's heard of, and a band even less people have heard of in fucking the arse end of nowhere." And he's like, "What?" And I'm like, "I have to find my Meatloaf tickets to find out how much they fucking cost." And I just dragged everything out. I saw Meatloaf in 2013, and it cost the ticket was £55.
Yeah,
which is maybe like $60, something like that. Maybe it's probably a bit more in euros, but not expensive at all. I mean, I didn't pay for them, my dad did, but that's besides the point. He's more famous than any of them will ever be.
Yep.
$700.
I mean, they're sold out. So I mean, at the end of the day, well,
there was a demand, right? Yeah, that's
tell them about the jumpers, Sandra. Tell them about the jumpers.
Oh, I'm sure they know that like the sweaters are like $100, like, you know,
for a fucking jumper,
for an ugly Christmas sweater. Yeah.
Do we even know what they look like?
Yeah, and that's a problem I do have.
A picture,
like, I know. I mean, come on, we are in retail. I know about demand, and you can, if it's sold out, why not? But for me, there is a line. There's really a line to get so much money from people. I mean,
I think they have to hit it eventually, right? I think we have to hit that. Yeah, we've got to hit that point at some point. Like I don't know if it's just this feeding frenzy of, and I don't know if it's even a part of like what creation has created, like creation entertainment, and that, you know, you get to see them, you get to spend time with them, and all that stuff. It's so constant that it's like, well, people, as long as people are going to pay it, they've got to hit a wall. There's got to be a wall. There has to be inflation, people. I mean, I understand it, but there has to be a wall at some point. So, because I think you limit, I don't know, I know we're getting off on a tangent, but you limit what some fans get to experience or don't. But I know it's really great too that we have the opportunity to see videos from cons that if I'd never seen a con video, I would have never known this was a thing that you could go and do and see. And then that kind of, you know, but it all costs, you know, and it's, yeah, I hope they realize that. Maybe if they ever do after this one show, get their head out of their ass and realize, you know, maybe just not spend that much money or not charge that much.
No, they won't. They won't.
They were sold out
because they got the money.
So why should
they? People paid it.
Yeah.
But they went $750. No one will pay that, and everyone went, "We fucking will." And now they're like, "But we could charge $1,000."
Yeah. We will pay it. There are people that will pay it no matter how much it is. Yeah. I'm going to stream it, but I'm not going. But I'm going to do the ticket thing so I can watch it.
Yeah, it's going at 3 a.m. here on stage it, and I told my husband, and he was like, "Rather you than me," and I was like, "Oh no, I'm gonna get up and watch it. I'm gonna."
Yeah. All right, so we totally went a different way. That's good.
Let's talk about J2. Let's talk about all the problems we have with J2. No, let's get back on track, guys.
I will say, as far as the fic goes, that like I'm not getting as many kudos or hits. I guess I don't pay attention to hits. I guess I should, but I don't. But the comments have been just beautifully lovely. And like I got one the other day that somebody said I had a really bad day, and reading this fic made my bad day so much better. And it's like, like you feel like you something. Yeah.
You can't get any better than that, can you? When someone's like, "This is my happy thing."
Yeah. So yeah, it's still some people's happy place, and there's some people reading. And as long as there's people reading, and I'm enjoying writing, I'm going to keep on writing J2 and Winsett.
Yeah.
I would like to branch out someday, but those two will always be my main things.
Right.
Absolutely. I have the J2 pairing bookmarked on AO3. I just check it a little less frequently because I know it's slower in there than it is for like the Supernatural one.
I guess my next question too was how easy of it is to kind of go from J2 to just pairing their characters up. And do any of you do that like outside of, because to me it just seems like another like AU form, like J2, and like putting them into scenarios. But then have you branched out and done different pairings from other shows? Like I see a lot of, say, Cordell Walker and Bo Arlen, or Walker and Soldier Boy, or
Carole has.
Okay.
Yeah. I did. I have a couple of. I actually have a series of 3 Walker Soldier Boys, and I left them on a cliffhanger. So at some point, I have to get back to the 4th one.
Yes, it's a great series.
Yeah, thank you. And then I also actually did gosh, what is it? It's Dean Winchester and Cordell.
Oh, okay.
Dean, they run into each other, and Dean, of course, is struck by the way Cordell resembles Sammy. And that turned out to be a nice little fic.
Okay.
And then I haven't written a bunch of the pairings that are possible, but yeah, I've seen like Priestley and Cordell and like that. So they're not quite in the prominence that a regular J2 or a regular Wincest story would be, but those cross show pairings are definitely out there, and they're fun to play with. It's just kind of like a fun little sideline to doing either Wincest or J2. I mean, the dynamics are of course different. You know, Cordell is different from Sam and from Jared, and of course Soldier Boy is an entity unto himself.
Yes.
So yeah, they're fun to do, but it's definitely a smaller market share.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know if you guys have thought about this or if you had any plans. I think it may be quite interesting to pair a Jensen or a Jared character with another one. So, I don't know, Dean and Soldier Boy. I can't think of anything. You'd only have Cordell and Sam, really, wouldn't you? But I don't know. I feel like it might be interesting.
What I really like is like Sam and Dean and the Richesters version. Sam and Dean, for example.
Yeah.
I think you did, Carole, didn't you?
I did one where, I did a Richester story where it was just Richester, Sam, and Dean. But then I also did a story where Sam, as he's grappling with Dean's death, while he's still in the bunker, and the Richesters come to, help comfort him and stuff. So they're fun to play with because they're different.
Yeah. I've done Sam and Dean Richester.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I can imagine. I don't know. I just think that might be interesting to play with. Maybe I'll put it on my list of things to think about writing and then not write.
I did
oh gosh.
and Cordell, and it was really fun because it was before the first episode ever aired from Walker, so I had to really make this character up like how it's going to be.
And that's how I was with Soldier Boy, because the boys, the season of the boys hadn't actually started yet, so I had a blank slate to play with. All I knew is that he was like, an asshole. I made him an asshole.
I've read your
all of a sudden he has a tormented past, and he's having PTSD, and I was like, wait a minute, you talk about when your characters start doing stuff and you're like, whoa, where did that come from? Oh, there it is. Oh, and now of course with Jensen, now we have Bo Arlen. So Bo Arlen is making fics out there. There's Bo Arlen and Cordell and stuff. So yeah, we have a new player on the board.
Yeah, I've seen a triplet thing with like Dean and Bo and Ben. I was like, okay, there they go.
Yeah. Link me. I need that link.
I didn't.
Link me.
Okay, I'm writing it down. I have to link you on that one.
Yeah.
So do you just in general like thoughts about? Do you feel that J2 is just a little bit more palatable for some people who maybe aren't as like keen on the whole, like the Wincest part of it as well? Like just taking that chemistry and doing just going J2. Okay.
Yes and no, because there are a lot of people who are kind of squicked by using RPF.
And
they're kind of like, but these are real people, and how can you do that? And I think in the very beginning, I read Wincest first and then went to RPF. But I write them both pretty equally. I think my RPF is actually a little ahead of my Wincest count. But at first, I was kind of like, yeah, that's kind of weird. And then really, to me, it's like paper dolls. We have these figures, and these are the characters, Jared and Jensen. I'm not writing about necessarily the real Jared and Jensen. I'm writing Jared and Jensen characters.
Right.
And therefore, they're like my paper dolls, and I can put them, and hence the appeal of AUs, because in J2 fic you have non-AU and you have AU, and so you go with the whole, I'm writing the character of Jensen and the character of Jared. AU, the world, the universe is your oyster because you can go anywhere and write anything.
Yeah.
I think what people find attractive in both ways, like Winchester or J2, is this kind of unique, rare friendship / relationship. Like those two brothers been through so much and still have each other's back. And we kind of see the same in a way from Jensen and Jared. Like they have each other's back. I think still they are work buddies, but they are also friends. And we all have buddies on work we like, but they are not automatically our friends. So to see those two guys kind of grow up, for me, it was kind of, we grew up together. I mean, I was in my 20s, they were in their 20s, so now we are a little bit older. And 3 years, I don't know. And to see this, it was wonderful to watch that there is a really honest, true friendship. But I totally agree with Carole. It's like when I wrote a story about Winchester, I'm like, okay, this is something about being on the show or some kind of a fix-it from the show. With Jensen and Jared, I can explore so much more. I can put those characters in medieval times. I can put them in the future. I can have one like being a baker, or one is like a book literature or whatever. It's like I hear them talking. I know how they look like. I know how they laugh. But I kind of love to play with those characters. That doesn't mean naturally this is the real Jensen Ackles. This is the real Jared Padalecki. I really love to just explore those characters and give them new backgrounds, new hobbies, new jobs or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, and but as I tell my readers, I just like creating worlds. I like creating worlds. You can create any kind of a world, and you can put Jared and Jensen in there, and they're immediately recognizable. People know who they are. They have such natural chemistry. They can picture them in these worlds that you create, and it's just a lot of fun to explore. I know a lot of people do have problems because they're real people, and they're like, how can you do this? Somebody in their family might read it. I hope and pray nobody in their family ever reads it.
I would like to think all of their families know not to Google them by this point.
But it's a lot of fun to explore, and there are still quite a few fans that enjoy reading them. So I think it's just their chemistry, and everybody knows who they are, and it's just a lot of fun to do. Yeah. And they do things like post-Trump videos, which your imagination is going to go a little wild.
Yeah, absolutely.
So many stories I've written off pictures and or videos, where it's like, oh look, here's Jared. Here's a picture of Jared leaving Target in Austin with a wall calendar and dog leashes. And I was like, there's a story in there, and there was.
Yeah.
What's that story called, Carole?
Link us, Carole. Send us the links, Carole. We need them.
I will send the links.
All right.
Basically, it was like Jared needed the wall calendar because Jensen had just moved to Austin, and he had to make sure he planned all their time together and stuff. And the dog leashes were for the dogs, but then they got used for everything.
Yeah. I like that. I don't know why, but I always really enjoy it when people write Jared's dogs into things. I like it less when they involve the dogs in things, which is very, very prevalent there. Which is, do not just like, you got to stop filtering stuff if you're in J2. But I just really like it when they're just like, and Jared has dogs. And they're just like cute little background features. Because like, I really like it. I don't know why.
And it's still always Harley and Sadie,
Yeah.
Yep.
Always. And he's got like they've both passed away now, haven't they? And he's got like new dogs.
Right.
We're still just like, nope, OG dogs. Nope, these ones.
Yeah, OG dogs.
I love it. I do.
I guess my last question, but I think you guys have already answered it, was like, do you like to write more Sam Dean or J2? But I feel like it's going to be consensus, whatever we're feeling inspired to write about. So there's probably not a one or the other in terms of that. Is that accurate?
That's certainly accurate for me. If it's the idea that has come into my head, and it's either a Sam and Dean idea or a J2 idea. I guess, and like I said, I think my count, I probably have more J2 stories than I do Sam and. But some of that, like, as we were talking about, is the complete accessibility of whatever you want to write. I've written J2 in the Russian Revolution, and I've written J2 in, like the 1800s, and there's just anything you can do. Where Sam and Dean, I mean, I've read Sam and Dean in AUs, and it's not like they don't work, but even in the AUs with Sam and Dean, you're bringing a lot of what is in the show in terms of both their dynamic, that they're usually still brothers, and they're usually still fighting evil on some level, and the show characters have all in some way or another come on board with them. I mean, if they're in a ship, it's the Impala, and if they're in a spaceship, it's the Impala. That makes it really fun and interesting, because you're still kind of dealing with the familiar concept and construct, but then stretching it in other ways. Where J2, like we said, you can make it anything you want. They could be. I mean, there's stories where they're like, werebears and were pandas, and maybe one time where they were an alpaca and a llama, and you know what I mean. I just read a story where Jared got turned into a rubber duck. So anything goes.
They've been sharks.
I wrote one where they were Build-A-Bears.
Yes.
Oh, that's cute. I love that.
Dragons. Why didn't we talk about dragons?
My gosh.
Yeah, I think I have slightly more J2 than Wincest, but I'm pretty equal about what I write, and I'm pretty equal about what I read. So I don't have a favorite, because they both have things that I'm drawn to. But yeah, I think I'm pretty half and half. I will say, as far as readers, I think more readers are reading Wincest than J2. But I write whatever my muse decides that I'm going to write. That's what I write.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, and it depends on if I do some reverse banks or whatever. And depends on if it sign up for 2 J2 reverse banks, then it's that. Or if you sign up for a Winchester Big Bang, then you focus on that. So it depends a little bit what kind of challenges you do per year and what the prompts are. But I think it's half. I have to check. I really don't know. I love to write both. It's so different, and it's both really fun stuff to do.
I try to alternate my Big Bang every year.
Okay.
The Supernatural J2 Big Bang. I try to alternate. If I wrote a Sam and Dean, the next year I write a J2, and then the next year I write a Sam and Dean. And
well, I did.
Try to keep alternating.
You're so organized,
Carole. You have like a list. Do you have to write them down? I'd have to write them down. I wouldn't remember that long. Okay, everyone. So we've had a little bit of a reshuffle of the causes that we like to promote in light of the upcoming holidays. Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year, any other holidays that you might celebrate. We are inclusive. So we're still promoting Ukraine relief. Of course, it's not getting the media attention it needs, but the Russian unlawful invasion of the Ukraine is still going on. So again, we'd like to draw your attention to World Central Kitchen, which, exactly as it sounds, helps to feed people, not just in the Ukraine, but in conflict zones all across the world. We are also still drawing attention to Global Giving, the Ukraine Crisis Fund Relief, which, of course, is just sort of like a centralized donation place, and then they distribute the funds where they are needed the most. So if you can, please, there is no pressure, but if you can help out either of those causes, give a little bit to the people in Ukraine that are still massively affected, that would be awesome. Sandra, you got causes?
Yeah, I just wanted to highlight a couple things, and basically more, I guess, US based related, but overall, over the years, I've just kind of learned how important it is to keep learning and keep growing, accepting yourself for who you are and reaching out for help when you need it. So I have a couple new ones to talk about, but one of the main things is just supporting basic human rights with all the changes, government, voting, all the wonderful things that are happening here. I feel like learning more about what's happening in our country is important, and finding ways that you can take action are equally important. So we've got the American Civil Liberties Union that we'll have as a link. And then prioritizing your mental health, just how important it is to reach out and know that there's support and education if you need it. Coping and, getting over things just is not a viable option and something you can continue to do. So I have the National Alliance on Mental Illness, which is NAMI, I think is how you pronounce it, NAMI.org. And then for those of us who are basically across the board, but adult survivors of child sexual abuse is one of the things I've kind of been wanting to highlight more, that there are resources, ways you can move past it. On the site for RAINN.org, which is Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network, no matter what, the abuse was not your fault. It's never too late to start healing from this experience. So thrive, not just survive after abuse. So those are mine.
Yeah, and of course, they will be centralized to the US because obviously that's where Sandra's based. But I do know, I believe it is STAR in the UK, surviving after rape and trauma, that does very similar work. But I know if you reach out to RAINN, they can direct you into the right place for your location. Again, hammering home, it's the holidays coming up, guys, and not just for LGBTQ plus people and youth. The holidays can be hard for everybody. We know that. That's why we're putting these mental health networks out there. Don't suffer in silence. Reach out to people if you need help. But especially for my LGBTQ plus people out there, holidays, sometimes you have to put yourself back in the closet, even if you're living out and free. Sometimes you have bigots in your family, people that don't support you. It's fucking hard. And it's very easy to say surround yourself with positivity, but not everybody has access to that. So if you're based in the UK, again, I want to signpost you to Switchboard LGBT, which is a sort of talking service that will put you in touch with people who will help you, will talk to you, just somewhere that's safe and supportive. And the US equivalent of that is the Trevor Project. Again, reach out. They will put you in touch with people to talk to. If you're not safe at home, you will find support in these places. And the Trevor Project has resources for international LGBTQ plus youths, because we know it's different everywhere in terms of what laws govern and, what kind of public atmosphere there is towards our community. So those are the causes that we're promoting. And we just want to say, happy holidays. May you be with good people. May you have good food. May you have good times. But be safe.
Take care of yourself.
If you need this help. Yep. Take care of yourself. If you need this help, please reach out and access it. And if you can support any of these charities, if you're in that position, please think about doing so, because everybody needs somebody. Back to the episode.
Do we have time? Because we were started talking about pandas and other things, and that I started thinking about ABO, and I didn't know. So to talk about that a little bit, but let me know what your time frame is if we have.
I'm good.
So I think I know ABO, I read ABO, but Sandra doesn't. And since you lovely ladies write it, I think it's only right that you should introduce her to the fabulous.
So does everybody write? Do all three of you write ABO?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
We all three do.
So the bit that I know of, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, did Supernatural create this?
It did.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The Omegaverse is
We did it.
Supernatural. Yes.
You did it.
Obviously, it's bled over everywhere else, but it was ours originally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
So how long back did this come into existence? Was it pretty soon after Supernatural aired and fanfic started getting created?
I never looked that up.
I will.
Yeah, I don't know when the first one was. I know because there was a lawsuit that was involved where an author said that she created it, and then they were like, "Here's 5,000 examples of where it existed." That it was found that Supernatural created it, but I don't know how quickly after Supernatural aired that it first one did.
Okay, so is it
someone during the comment or through a thread, something like that? Then they were talking about it, and that was the first time it was mentioned.
It was 2010. In May, a prompt was put up.
I think it's 2010, but I had to look it up before I said anything.
Yeah, it was the first one was published on July the 24th. Although it wasn't like called Omegaverse then.
Okay, so that's like maybe 5 years in, right? 5-6 years into the show. And is it basically like, to me it just sounds like a werewolf pack kind of thing. Is that okay? I'm just gonna sit back and listen now. So whoever
y'all gonna learn some stuff.
It's anywhere creatures. It could be werewolves. It could be panthers. It could be bears. It could be any type of situation where you are the ability to turn into an animal, or even if some of them you don't actually turn into the animal, you just have animal traits. Yeah. So the big thing is that usually there's an alpha, beta, omega. Then there, in the alpha is generally seen as the stronger, more aggressive, has a knot, which you hear a lot about the knotting. Betas are generally portrayed as just like people like us, and then an omega has generally portrayed as more submissive, and they have this wonderful thing called slick, which means you don't have to worry about lube or fingering.
Oh, okay.
And so that's why I like writing omegas, and that is generally. But the thing about ABO is that you can take any bits and parts of it that you like and write that and exclude anything you don't like. It's a made up thing. So you just make up your own rules when you write it. You don't have to follow an established set of rules. If there are things about it that make you icky, like some people have omegas have a second hole and and I find all that really icky. I just never do that. So you just make up your own thing. And I will also say this is that as far as kudos get, out of my top 10 fics that had the most kudos, 9 are ABO.
Yeah.
So people say it's icky, but they read it.
I would say, but please correct me. Rule number 1 is there is no rule.
That's what I'm saying. There's no rule. Yeah, you make it.
Want to create, generate an economy where an alpha is absolutely dominant and an omega has nothing to say, no rights at all. I read a story where it was the other way around, where the omegas kind of ruled the family and the alphas were to protect or to get food, but to rule the economy, that was up to the omegas. So I think in the end, it's up to you, author, what you want to write. It's up to you, reader, what you want to read, what you prefer. This is such a complex whole world. There's no limit. There really is no limit.
Yeah, you just that's what's what I like about it so much is that you just make your own rules and then have fun with it.
One facet that you see frequently in an ABO fic is that is MPreg, which is where the male omegas can actually become pregnant and carry children.
Yes.
And the first ABO I wrote, though, I'm not a huge MPreg fan. And so the first ABO I wrote, they had to be ABO because part of the plot of the story involved the omega of them going into heat, which means his body is triggered to need sex because that's just the biology of it. But I didn't want to deal with Empreg because, like I said, it's not my favorite, and I really didn't want to write it. So I was just like, so the ability to bear children had evolved out, but nonetheless, the Omegas still had the heat. And I was like, okay,
that's it. It's such a broad spectrum, isn't it? You see it. Male Omegas can bear children, and then you get equally female Omegas can bear children, but men can't, and so they're seen as even lower down in society than female Omegas. It's completely across the board. It's great. You can just cherry pick the little bits.
That's what I'm saying. You pick what you like out of it, and I actually like impreg, so I have that a lot. And also you can do impreg without ABO. You can just say, men can get pregnant. That's the thing about writing is that, you can create whatever you want to create. Yeah. But that's, one of the things I really like about it is that you can just pick whatever you want to pick and create a whole world out of it.
Now, I heard Alpha and Omega. Did betas, what's their role?
Betas are just regular people.
Okay.
There's we would all be betas.
Okay.
There's nothing different about their biology or anything.
Gotcha.
It's the alphas and the omegas that have the differences.
But I have seen a few where the betas had omega qualities. Yeah, I've read a few where the betas had some omega qualities, but but normally betas are just regular people who were looking at F omegas and saying, "You guys are crazy." Together, pretty much. But that's generally how they're portrayed.
Okay, so how do you like? Do you like to classify? I'm guessing you do Sam. You've done Sam and Dean, and maybe Jared and Jensen in this world. What do you tend to like to? Do you like to flip? Like, do you have a set mind, just like what Sam would be, what Dean would be, what Jared would be, what Jensen would be, or do you mix it up a lot, or do you have like a preferred? You know what I mean? Like, who'd be the alpha, who'd be the omega kind of situation?
I'm pretty consistent. Yeah. I'm pretty consistent that it's Jared and Sam that are the omegas in my story, but I have read all different varieties.
Okay.
I don't get any points tonight. So I see it a little bit different. For when it comes to supernatural, I see Dean like he's the protective one, yes, but he's also the one who's nesting. He's also the one who's taking care.
Yeah.
And when it comes to sexual activity, I always remember him like making sure the women were really, he put himself first, And when it comes to Sam, he is such an aggressive lover. I mean, come on.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. All right.
Right. So actually, if I had to choose, I would go for Sam definitely as the alpha one, who's standing against his father, who's fighting against this. He's not looking for keep it to tone down, like, and I know it's controversial. I know many people see Dean actually as the alpha, but for me,
I can
Sam
see
is the alpha. Dean is more. I would love to see him as an omega, but when it comes to Jensen and Jared, it's the opposite.
Yes.
So.
I have a working theory that Jared is the bottomiest bottom to ever bottom ever. Jensen's first, and fight me if you don't think Misha is dom top. Fight me. It's in his eyes. So, but I could take it any which way for fanfic, which is a horrible phrase. I don't mind who's top and who's bottom, but I do feel that way about the actual real people. What about you, Carole?
I see it. It really depends. It just depends on the story for me. I like Jared/Sam being an alpha because he's big and everything. He's big, he's strong. Yes, he can be aggressive. But I also can see, Jensen. We see things like, where Jensen's like, come here, and Jared's there.
The video where he's just crooking his finger and Jared comes running.
Right. So I can easily see Jensen being an alpha, and I can see Dean being an alpha. with Jared's the little brother. So I write them both ways. The only thing I don't like in ABO, because I won't even say I don't like MPreg. I have read MPreg that I really like. It just has to be handled well. And this ties into what I don't like seeing in ABO, which is when they take one of them and make them an Omega, and they do what is referred to as woobifying. They woobify them, where they stop being anything like the character of that character that we like, and all they do is like cry and they have it's not even like society has made them slaves or anything. They're so it's like they're so
needy and
over feminized.
That's over feminizing them, and
and they start losing any.
You don't see any of Jared Jensen or Sam and Dean in them. You just see a poor pitiful creature who has to be taken care of.
Right, and that I can't I can't read no matter who it is. It's just,
I think that ties into taking, like you said, if it's good fiction and you see the character or you resonate with that, then you could pretty much read any situation or scenario. I mean, I could see that maybe like if it's like something that happened to one of them that kind of like, took a lot out of them and then they have to build themselves back up. But if it's like just across the board, you're just pigeonholing every Omega, into that sort of scenario, or that's the way they are. And that doesn't sound all that great. I would probably be slogging through something like that. Okay.
I mean, it turns me out in any kind of fiction, not even ABO, but also every other one, completely out of character. And as you said, if one is more like the damsel in distress and really is so weak, and the one of them is so tough and so cruel and so, I don't know. I always see them in a living. I mean, there's a king for everyone, so that's a good part of it. Just because I don't like it doesn't mean it's bad.
Right.
Someone else has to write it and someone else has to read it. But for me, it's always important that they stay in character, and neither Sam nor Dean is weak.
They're both strong characters. They're very both strong. Jared and Jensen and Sam and Dean, no matter what situation you put them in, these are both all four strong individuals. And I just, anytime you make one of them extremely weak or, so shy they can't say a word or any of that, I'm just like, no, that one's not for me.
Yeah. And I like to hear Dean talk, so we don't want him to be shy.
And Dean does talk, and Jensen does talk. So anytime I see that, I'm just like, okay, I know lots of people like that kind of thing, but it's not mine.
Carlee, I wanted to maybe see if we wanted to talk about some of our fanfics that we read from these lovely ladies that we enjoyed, or if you wanted to go off a little bit about all the J2 stuff that you realized was written by Carole after that.
I was looking through after the last time we spoke, and I was just like, I've read that, and just never clicked. Sandy, you wrote one of my favorite J2 fics, which I didn't realize until I was going through your works, and I was like, oh my God, I love that. You wrote, I carry you on my hands.
Yeah.
There's another bit to that, but I can't remember. And I was telling Sandra about it, and I was like, you have to read this fic. It's fucking amazing. And I was like, Jensen's like short man energy. And she was like, Jensen's like 6'2". And I was like, there is no other way to describe this. It is short man energy all the way across. He's just like an angry little toddler. Honestly, one of my favorite J2 fics of all time. I did the same with Tammy. Going through, I was like, oh fuck, I've read that. I was like, shit, I've read that. It's so much from you guys I didn't even realize. So I'm sorry for all the fics I've read and not commented on. I will have kudos to every one of them, but I probably didn't comment, and I'm sorry about that.
No, I wanted to talk about, because I'd actually started reading some things last time, and I'd made a list, so I wanted to go through just some that I really liked. And Carole, I'll start with you first. Although,
where's this? Is this a list I don't have access to?
This is a list somewhere that you don't have access to.
He's hiding the list from me, guys.
Because it was just mine. I think I put it somewhere. Don't ask me. It's my organization. So, Carole, pierced pleasure. I love me some nipple play. And the fact that you switched that up a little bit where it wasn't necessarily like the expectation of Dean, but Sam, I loved that. I loved it. It was great. I had so much fun reading that one. And then all that glitters.
Turn it around because it's often Dean.
His perky nipples. I love. Yeah, I'm all about Dean's perky nipples. But Sam has them too, so they're very perky.
Yes, they are. They're evil perky nipples.
That's why they all wear flannel, because otherwise people just wouldn't be able to get through the show. They're like, we've got to put layers on these guys. Jesus.
Yeah,
fuck.
we did figure that out, right? After the first season, they started layering them up a lot more because there are certain scenes where you're like, oh, look at that right there. You don't get
until we got to the end, and then once again we started getting the padded tits.
Yeah, at the very last, the episode that we won't. But yes, yes, that episode I do remember. And then all that glitters, where it's like that Sprite, the trick or treater.
Oh my gosh, yes, that was so fun.
Oh my gosh, I felt like, well, first of all, just like them coming to the realization and all that, and I'm kind of, I love spells and magic and stuff like that. So that kind of stuff like intertwining with it. But just that Dean never seems to have luck around trick-or-treating, like kids in costumes, like no matter what. And like this time he came out on the winning end, in one way or another because of that. Absolutely loved it. That one was great.
Thank you.
And then Sandy, I finished When You Wish Upon a Star that you were talking about. I just loved it. The happy ever after, them in Disney, just Dean being a big old, just again, like I have such a soft spot for Dean, but seeing Sam happy too and come to that realization and express what he wanted. And I like that in some of these fictions that everybody kind of the first time, or like sometimes it's like Dean not realizing it unless Sam says something and what their bond is, and how Dean just expected Sam to, move on after defeating Chuck and all of those other things. But then the bond kept him there, and him finally expressing that. And then all of the great stuff that happened after it. It was just lovely. And I love that Miracle, was in it too, even though he had to go to a little pen for a little while. He had to go to a kennel, but still like he was around as well. So that was really a sweet one. I really did like that one. And them just talking, and the whole boyfriend thing, how they were always seen as boyfriends, but kind of like Dean leaning into it then finally, and all that kind of stuff. I really like that one. I like that one a lot. And you mentioned the Richchesters, and I have Just a Dream that you wrote where Dean wakes up on a dream, or does the dream wake up in him, where Dean is tied up, Sam's giving orders, and invites Samuel Richchester to join. And there's Dom Sam, which I know Carly's always a fan of.
Me immediately. I can't keep up with everything, guys. Send me links.
I will. I'm gonna share. I'm gonna find this and share it with you, Carly, once I find out where I hit it as well. That's yes. And then Tammy, World Without Pity, where it's sign of the canon divergent, like after the Born Again identity, where Sam's being tortured by Lucifer, and then Dean decides to take him like to this cabin and kind of like help him out. But then Sam realizes that if he touches Dean, Lucifer goes away. And then that stuff just sort of lends itself into all of these other feelings, and eventually how they come to terms with it. I just really loved it. It was so great. And then it got really hot. It was really good. I love how something's really lovely and then you're able to make it really hot as well. So you all are able to do that exceptionally well. So it's like tapping into the feelings, but then giving all of the hotness as well. And then the last one, Tammy, that I found was so hysterical. I literally in one pre-chat with Carly, it's called Happy Endings.
Oh yes.
Where it's like if you mix Dean, domesticity, a libido in perpetual overdrive, and a nerdy love of dressing up, it turns out that what you come out with is a new obsession with role playing, because we know how much Dean likes to dress up, and they're in kilts, for God's sakes. And I was just like, I wanted to see that. I wanted to, like, I could see it, but I was like, I wanted somebody to like give me that as an act, like. And then Sam hurts himself, but there's all this other stuff.
Off the table.
It was
so great.
It was so great.
On the table.
Dean and Sam were so on point character-wise too in that one. I thought that one was, and he was so funny. Dean was so freaking funny. I loved it. When you can give me fun Dean, because he's always got so much torture and stuff, but afterwards give me some fun, and then let Sam, let down his little bitch face a little bit and have some fun too. I think that's great. I think that's great. Those are just some of mine. I mean, off the bat, I've been like going through your libraries, and I've got a lot of marked for laters that I've got to go through. And I did try to remember to go back, and kudos, because I am guilty of that too, even though I write and I know how important kudos are. I will say that I think for me, AO3, I'll download something, put it on my Kindle, and then I forget to go back and kudos. So I've got to make that a habit too.
I think a lot of people do that. They download them now. So I can see where you would download them and you read them, think that's really good, and then forget.
So it's one of those things I've got to remember to go back in my history marked later and just go back and kudos. But you're going to see more kudos from me, Drazda, on there, by the way. So when you see me pop up, that's me kudos, because they're all just so great. I loved everything. I'm so glad to have found your writing, and explore a little bit more of, not necessarily that I've ever not been a huge fan of it, but just didn't give Wincest, really much of a shot. And I really do enjoy it. They're really great stories. And when you've got great writers, really taking the time with the characters, and not just, we want to throw them into here because we want to see them do this, or we want to see them do that, but exploring that, I think, is great. I just love these characters so much. So when you give me an opportunity to live with them a little bit more, that's really special. So just wanted to say thank you for that, for continuing to write, even beyond the expiration of Supernatural, when it ended. I'm appreciative of that. And I know a lot of other people are too, if they don't ever get around to kudos and stuff like that. So yeah. That's me in a nutshell, stuff that I saw that I really liked. But like I said, Carole, I was going through and I was like, fuck, I've read that and I've read that. So I didn't realize you wrote Beginnings with bartender Jensen and college boy Jared. And I was extolling that to Sandra. I was like, no, you gotta read it. It's fucking great. It's so good. I read your first Soldier Boy Walker, and I didn't realize that you'd written a follow-up to that. So I gotta go check that one out. I'm just scanning through now to see if there's anything else jumping out at me. But I know I've read like plenty of things and just not realized that it was you until I'd gone back to start looking. I was like, oh fuck, I've read that. I've read that. Sandy, I already told you got my favorite J2 fic. I was he's so mad, and Jared's just like, no.
I just love it for Chad as a kakadu. It was like,
and Jim as a little beaver. I mean, it was like they were so great, because I started reading it too. I think I'm on like chapter 9, and I was like, oh, he just slammed the door in his face and his roses are all cut off, and then he's climbing a trellis, and I'm like, this is I love how you said it's very Harlequin romance, because it is. It's got all that setup of it, of like a Hallmark movie too. It's great. It's great.
Oh, it is those first few chapters for me. Like I know it gets a smart at the end, but it's the first 2 chapters of Jensen just angrily, just like a fucking deal with this, and Jared's just like, no, and she shuts the door in his face. I love it so much.
I love how sassy Jared reacts on his grumpiness. Like, okay, you can have this tantrum here, but not now.
Like I said, we were talking to Sandra about it, and she was like, small person energy, and I was like, yeah. And then she's like, well, it's relative, isn't it? It's like everyone's small man compared to Jared. And I think that might be what it is. Like, there's just a little bit of Jensen's used to being the biggest person around, and then just being like, No. No. I love it. I love it. Tammy, one of yours that I didn't realize was yours again until I was going through. I read Looper's Blessing a little while ago. I thought it was amazing. So good.
Thank you.
Like ABO done perfectly. Loved it. And there are definitely like a million more, but I didn't write them down because I don't like people to think I'm organized. And like I said, Carole, Tammy, I have them open. They're in my tabs. They're in there, guys. They're in there. Get to the new ones, I promise.
Well, on that note, I don't want to keep you ladies much longer because we've done like an hour and a half, but I so appreciate you coming on and chatting with us. And we'll try to come up with another topic maybe in a couple months to have you guys back again, or if you could think of something you'd want to talk about with us. But yeah, it's been great. And like I said, keep writing. Don't not write. I mean, as long as you've got the urge to write, keep writing. Because you do great things with the characters, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I want to thank Carole, Tammy, and Sandy for coming back on. Lots of great information talking about J2, ABO. I've got a lot to research on that. And then just
I sent links. I'm very helpful.
And then just highlighting some of the great fiction that they've written. And yeah, we hope to have them back on at some point, discuss something else. But yeah, all in all, it's been fun. It's been fun and informative.
Yeah, it's great to have them on. They are absolutely fabulous ladies, fabulous writers as well. So don't forget, we will put their AO3 usernames, links in the description. Go check them out, give them some love. Don't forget to hit kudos, and if you feel like you can, leave a comment as well. We always appreciate them.
You can reach out to us at idlingintheimpala@gmail.com, and on Twitter we are idling in the letter D Impala. Karlee has done a wonderful job of putting all of our social stuff together. So we have a link tree now that will just click on that. It'll take you to find out where we are in AO3, Twitter, all that other good stuff. And so now it's not as chaosy, I guess. It's a little more organized.
I only did that so I wouldn't have to listen to her go, and here's one username, and here's another username, and here's another username. I'm lying, I didn't. We are always trying to make things more user-friendly for you and easier for you to get in touch with us and find our stuff. But a big part of it was being able to go, look, you don't have to read out all the names now. Look, it's all in one place. But yeah, you can find all our socials in there, and anything else that you might want to look up regarding our lovely little podcast. We also have a Ko-fi now. The link for that will be in the link tree in the description as well. So Sandra works her ass off for this podcast, guys. She really does. I literally just turn up and talk, and I do YouTube, and I do the Twitter account, but that's about it.
And you do the admin now to organize me, because I apparently don't know what I'm doing.
All right then. But you know, she does all the editing and all the putting together and all, like, every piece of artwork you've seen on Twitter, on YouTube, everything has been made by Sandra. So we have a Ko-fi page now. If you feel like you can give a little back to thank Sandra for all her hard work, that would be awesome. No pressure, but the link is in the description if you want to. Also, Sandra has written a book. She's written many books, but she's specifically releasing a book in time for Christmas. So get it on your Christmas list. Sandra, tell us about the book.
So the book is called Cowboy Cantor. It's a contemporary Western romance, and it's inspired by a certain individual who shall remain nameless. But basically, it's just a kind of enemies to lovers, friends to lovers situation, you know, city girl, country boy, all that good stuff. And the backdrop is Virginia. So it's a place that I've learned a little bit about over the years, visiting, you know, due to family and stuff. And it's a really pretty area. And I thought I wanted to kind of highlight that a little bit and talk about, you know, sort of urban cowboy situation. I will say there is a mechanical bull scene in the story as well.
This is the first time hearing about this. Tell me more, Sandra. Oh, no, wait, you don't have to, because in 5 weeks I'll be able to read it at time of recording. When this episode comes out, it probably won't be 5 weeks. 5 weeks of time of recording.
Yeah, so it'll be available ebook, print, and I'm working on the narration for it. So audio book as well. Look, so excited.
she does all the things. She does like all the editing for the podcast. She does the narration for the podcast. Now she's narrating her own books. You're not going to need me soon. Fly.
No, I'm going to need you. I'm always going to need you. So don't think any
you need
different.
to organize your folders.
Yes.
That's what you're going to need. So, yeah, links in the description. Reach out to us. Don't forget, you can follow Carole, Tammy, and Sandy on Twitter. You can go find them on AO3. Go give them some love. They work hard, and they are freaking amazing at what they do. So, yeah, go give them some love. And with that, we will say thank you for joining us in the backseat, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.